So next we're going to work on percents greater than 100, and it says, how do you write these as decimals? Remember that on the front we did a quick review here, and we had 125. We moved the decimal 2 places to the left, and we had 1 and 25 hundredths. We're going to have whole numbers here with decimals, or we're going to have a whole part and a decimal part of these numbers as we write them as decimals. So what is 120% of 60? 120% as a decimal, I move it 2 places to the left, I get 1 and 2/10. Of means multiply 60, and then I want to know what that is or what that's equal to. So I've got 1 and 2/10 times 60, and when I do that I get 72. Find 200% of 70. I'm going to take my decimal, move it 2 places to the left. When I do that, I get 2.0, or 2, of 70 times 70. Find 200% of 70. That's twice as much as 70, so we're just multiplying by 2. And when we do that, we get 140 as my answer. And then 150% of 400 is what number? 150 as a decimal, when I move it 2 places to the left, I get 1.5, or 1 5/10. Of means multiply, 400 is means equals. So 1 5/10 times 400 gives me 600 as my answer. 150% of 400 is 600. Remember that 150% is 100% of 400 is 400, and then 50% of 400 is 200. And we combine those two to get 150%. 400 plus 200 is 600. Notice that each time we have a percent greater than 100, our answer, or our part, is bigger than our whole because we've got more than 100% of that whole. So it's extra important that we write these as decimals appropriately, and that we remember to check our answers and see that they make sense. It should make sense that these numbers are bigger than our original because our percents are bigger than 100. And then when we jump to the problem solving over here, it says the largest frog in the world is the Goliath, found in West Africa. This type of frog can grow to be 12 inches long. The smallest frog in the world is 4% as long as Goliath. To the nearest tenth of an inch, what is the length of the smallest frog in the world? Solve using the percent equation, or the decimal method. So 4% of this length is the smallest frog. So we've got 4% as a decimal. I move the decimal 2 places to the left. And remember that that's a tricky percentage. Make sure that you write it as 400ths, not 4/10. Times 12 inches equals the smallest frog. So 400ths times 12 equals 48 hundredths equals the smallest frog in the world, or 48 hundredths inches. Now it says to the nearest tenth of an inch, so what we have to do now is we have to take 48 hundredths, and the 4 is in my tenths place. It looks 1 place to the right. The 8 tells my 4 to round up to a 5, and so my final answer here is 5/10 of an inch is how long the smallest frog is. And half of an inch seems pretty small, but I'm sure that if a frog can be a foot long, that it can also be a half of an inch long, especially since it's the smallest. So it seems reasonable, and I've got a label on my answer, so I'm done with the problem solving piece here as well.